Dear learners, welcome you all in the course Systematics of Angiosperm. Today we will learn another reproductive organ of plant, that is the fruits. Earlier we have learned about the vegetative organ, that are root, stem and leaves. Then we have studied the flower, that is the arrangement of flower in the form of inflorescence, and then we have studied the flower and the parts of the flower. And today we will going to study the last plant organ, that is the fruits and seeds that are present inside the fruits, that act as a new life for the next generation of the plant. From the seeds, new plants will be generated. So now start the session. First of all, starting with the fruit. So what are the fruits? So fruit are basically that found only in the angiosperm, and they are developed from the ovary, and its content is known as the true fruit. So fruit that develop from the ovary, and inside the ovary the presence of ovule that converted into the seeds. So a fruit develop from the ovary and its content plus additional part of the fruit such as the receptacle, petals and sepal is known as the accessory fruit, as in case of pineapple. So a true fruit is that fruit which develops from the ovary. So whole ovary that converted to the fruit is called as true fruit, and the fruit that developed other than the any accessory part, that is called as false fruit, as in case of pineapple or apple. So if we categorize the fruits of the three categories like simple fruits, aggregate fruits and multiple fruits. Simple fruit, they have only developed from a single ovary, while aggregate fruit that developed are formed from the number of pistils from the same flower. So if a flower have a many numbers of pistils and they forming a single fruit, then it is called as aggregate one, and the individual unit may be berries or other specific types of fruits. So they are made up of from the single fruit with multiple number of pistils. Then the next type is the multiple fruits, in which the fruit is developed from the number of pistil, often with accessory part, the pistil being form a number of flowers, like in case of mulberry. So in aggregate there is a number of pistils that are converted to the fruits, and their unit is different, but in case of multiple fruit they have accessory organs as well as. So if we see the simple fruit that develop from a single ovary and containing one or more carpels, but they have a single ovary that is made up of maybe unicarpellary or multicarpellary, but the ovary is syncarpous. So fruit from the one single pistil, they may be either true or accessory fruits. Simple are further categorized into two categories, the fleshy fruits and dry fruits. As the name indicate, fleshy are those fruit which have a soft and fleshy as it matures. That means they have a very soft texture after the maturity, and these type of fleshy fruit further categorized into the three types, that is the drupe, berry and pome. Drupe is a one-seeded simple fruit developed from the superior ovary, and the innermost portion of the wall, that is the endocarp, becomes hard and stony, and the outermost part, that is the exocarp, become a relatively thin skin, and the middle portion between the skin and the endocarp, that is the stone-like, become fleshy or fibrous, that is also called as cherry, as in case of peach. You can see here, this is the fruit which has a thin covering inside, it has a endocarp which is a hard, as you can see here, and in mesocarp you will find the fleshy edible portion of the fruit, and you can see these are the pits, these are the pit fragments, and inside this there is a presence of a seeds. So peach, an example of a fleshy fruit. Then next one is the plum, which is also an example of a drupe in the category of fleshy fruits. As you can see, it also has a thin covering, then it has a hard endocore, and then the fleshy mesocarp which will be eaten. Then coconut also has a drupe fruit. As you can see here, they have a stony, and you can see this is a inner wall stony layer, this is the terminal husk, they have a liquid endosperm. This is a kind of a drupe fruit. And if Fruit is fleshy and it has a hard stony pit containing a seed. It is called as a drupe, as we have discussed earlier. Drupes, as we have discussed, that they are covered by the derived skin from the outer tissue layer of the ovary, and the soft fleshy tissue below the skin is derived from the middle layer, that is called as the mesocarp, and the hard stony pit is derived from the inner tissue layer of the ovary. And cracking the pit open reveals a single seed formed from a ovule within the flowers of ovary. And coconut have a fibrous walls instead of a fleshy walls found in most of the drupes. So, as you have seen that coconut has a fibrous walls. Then the next category in the fleshy fruit is the berry. Berry is also a simple fruit in which the ovary wall or at least the inner portion become enlarged and usually juicy, as you can see in case of tomato, grapes, banana or gooseberry. And the special type of berry is like the fruits may be singled out like the Hesperidium or pepo. So, the berry are the simple fruit in which the ovary wall, that inner portion is become enlarged and juicy, as in case you can see here in the tomato is also a type of a berry. As you can see, these are the skin and these are the inner portion which has the fleshy in nature. You can see here, this is the skin, these are the pulpy portion, this one is the longitudinal section, and you can see in center there is the presence of a seed, and this one is the cross section of the grape. So, these are the type of berries. Then the next one is the tomato. Tomato is also a kind of a berry fruit. As you can see, the inner portion is become juicy and fleshy and the outer is a thin layer. So, this is the cross section of tomato. As you can see, this is also an example of a berry type of fruit which has a persistent calyx. Then the special types of berry, as we have seen that there are two type of special type of berries. One is the Hesperidium and next one we will discuss later. And this is the special type of berry in which leathery red is formed. As you can see in the orange, they have a covering which is become leathery, and they are divided by number of septa, as you can see here, indicating their number of carpel that present in this type of fruits. So, in Hesperidium they have a leathery rind or covering that is called, and this type of fruit is called as hesper, that present in case of oranges, lemon. As you can see in case of orange they have a covering which is leathery, it is called as rind, and this inner portion that is juicy is divided into the number of locules divided by the septa, as you can see here in these images. Similarly, lemon is also have a Hesperidium, they also have a leathery covering which is called as rind, and they have a carpel partition by the septa, and inside they have a seeds. So, these both have a Hesperidium type of fruits. Then the next one is the special type of berry, that is the pepo. Berry that have a hard rind, it is called as the pepo. So, as we have seen, the berry which have a thin coating and inside juicy, that is called as normal berry, and the two special type, that is the Hesperidium in which rind is leathery, and in pepo the rind is become hard, and in case of watermelon, gourds or squash, as you can see, this is the type of a pepo fruit in which the outer covering become hard, that is called as rind. Then you can see these are the locules, that is divided by septa, and these are the seeds. Then cucumber is also a kind of a pepo fruit. As you can see, this is the rind, and this is one of the longitudinal section of the cucumber showing the seeds. Then the third is the pomme. A pomme is a French name that for the apple and accessory fruit which formed by a group of carpel more or less firmly united with each other and surrounded by and united to the floral tube or receptacle. And the consist tissue derived from the ovary and from the perianth. In case of, that's why it is called as a accessory fruit, or it is not a pomme, which is also called as the accessory fruit because it does not derive from the totally from the ovary. It is also derived from the accessory parts of the flower. So, pomme is an accessory fruit composed of 5 or more carpel in which exocarp forms the inconspicuous layer inside it. As you can see here, this is the alias of the apple fruit. This pulpy portion you can see here, and these are the cores. These are the true fruit. These are core region which has the seeds, and you can see here this is the sepal remains. So this type of fruit is formed by the, in case of perianth, this core and the seeds in between, this portion is called as the true fruit. The apple is a type of a pome which is also called as a accessory fruit. Then the next category of fruit is dry fruit. The first we have discussed that the fleshy one. The next is dry fruit, as the name indicate, fruit in which the core become dry at maturity. So this type of fruit is called as dry fruit, and dry fruit further categorized into two categories on the basis of their dehiscence. They may be dehiscent fruit which dehisce after the maturity, or their seeds will be shed, and the second one is the indehiscent fruit in which they will not shed their seeds after the maturity. So starting from the first category, that is the dehiscent fruit. Dehiscent fruit are further categorized into the different types like legume, follicle and capsule. The first one, that is legume. Legume is a dry dehiscent fruit developed from a single carpel, and a maturity is split along both the dorsal and ventral suchars, like in case of beans and peas. So it will dehisce by the at maturity from the dorsal as well as from the ventral suchars. And follicle is a dry dehiscent fruit that develop from a single carpel, but at maturity is splitting along only a one suture. So legume is suture by the only by both dorsal and ventral sutures, while follicle by only one suture, and capsule that dehisce from the develop from the several carpels. This type of fruit is called as capsule. So legume and follicle both are developed from the single carpels, but the capsule is developed from the many carpels, and legume is splitted along the dorsal as well as ventral sutures, while the follicles is only sutures from the one suture at the maturity, while capsule is developed from the more than one carpel. So starting from the legume, as we have discussed earlier, that they have a two lines of dehiscence after the maturity, and they develop from the one carpel. And the examples of legume type of fruit is peas, beans, peanuts. So as you can see here, the examples of legume, that is the pea, you can see here they have a both longitudinal section. You can see they can be dehisced from the ventral as well as dorsal surface. You can open the pea seeds from the both the sides, as you can see in these images. And these are the seeds or pod. This one is the pod of pea. Then peanut, as you can see here, they also have a both side of dorsal as well as ventral sutures for the dehiscence. And this one is the seeds, as you can see, and these are the pods of peanut. Then the next one is the follicle, as we have discussed earlier, that follicles are the fruit that also develop from the single carpel, and at maturity they only dehisce from the single suture. As we have discussed earlier, that the follicle is fruit that develop from the single carpel, and at maturity is splitting along only one suture, as in case of larkspur or columbine. As in case of columbine and milkweed, plant produces fruit that is called as follicle, which develop from the single ripened ovary and dehisce by only single lines. As you can see here, the columbine, this one is the follicle type of fruit which has a now ripened ovary. They will dehisced. As you can see, this one is the empty fruit and dehisced by the only single slit or sutures. And this one is the Magnolia virginia. This is an examples of the type of a follicle fruit. Then milkweed, you can see this also have only, this one is the longitudinal section showing only one sutures in this particular follicle, which is examples is milkweed, and these are the minute seeds of the milkweed. Then the second type is the capsule. Capsule is a dry dehiscent fruit developed from the several carpels. Unlike the legume and follicle, the capsule is composed of more than one carpels. Fruits like the lily split lengthwise into the section corresponding to the numbers of carpels. Like in case of, you can see here lily, this is the cross section, and this type of fruit is dehisced from these particular lines, and that representing the number of carpels that present in this lily. So as you know, lily has a tricarpellary ovary. So this capsule is developed from a tricarpillary ovary and they dehisce from these 3 lines of dehiscence. Then depending upon the dehiscence nature of the capsule, they are further categorized into different categories. Like the first one is the loculocidal, on which splits along the outer median line, as you can see in these images. So these are the walls of the capsule and they are dehisced by this outer median line. So this type of capsule is called as loculocidal, as in case of lilies. So they have this type of line of dehiscence and each representing that is made up of a tricarpillary, that is this type of fruit is developed from a tricarpillary ovary. Then yucca, you can see it is also made up of tricarpillary ovary. You can see these are the valve, you can see here these are the septa lines from where they will be get dehisced. Then this is the another example of loculocidal fruit, that is the datura. As you can see here, these are the splitting lines showing the capsule that develop from the ovary. Then the next type is the poricidal capsule, one that open from the round holes, as you can see here. And the example of this type of capsule is poppies. Poppies, they have a opening pores. You can see they have a round opening pores. You can see here in this, and these are the body of the capsule. So poricidal, as name indicate, they have a open round pore holes for the dehiscence of the seeds, you can see here. Then another type of a capsule is denticidal capsule. In denticidal, a small teeth like opening is present, as you can see here. In this type of fruits, they have a small opening, that is the teeth like. From this particular region, the seeds will be dehisced, and the example of this type of fruit is Ergostrema githago. The next type is the septicidal capsule, on one which splits along the septa and opens at the top. As you can see here, they split from the septa, but they are just have an opening from the top position. You can see these are the styles, although these are the valve structure, but this structure is only open from the top position, and the example of this type is Aristolochia or Dutchman's pipe. Then another type of the dry fruit example is silico. This is a special long slender type of capsule made up of 2 carpels. As you can see, this is made up of a 2 carpel which dehisced by in 2 different walls. This one is the one and this one is the second, and this one is the septum that separating the 2 locular ovary. So this is a typical fruit of a mustard family or Brassicaceae family. And this silica, you can see this is composed of 2 carpels. As you can see, this one is the septum, and here you can see this is the arrangement of seed which has a parietal presentation. So a septa, that is a slender capsule of 2 carpels, which is called as silicoa. So generally capsule is which have made up of more than 1 carpels, and depending upon the number of carpels, the capsule which is made up of 2 slender carpels is called as silicoa. Then silicle is also a type of a capsule which is have a short broad capsule. As you can see here, the first one which has a longer length, slender length, while this one has the short broad capsule. As you can see here, this is also made up of 2 carpels. As you can see, this one is the sericum, this one is the septa, and this one has the 2 valves, and these are the rapula which is forming the septa in between the 2 locules. So this is the silic type of fruit. As you can see, this has the broad type of a capsule which is called as silic. Then the next another type of capsule is pyxis, a capsule that which dehisced from its circumference. As you can see here, this is dehisced by its circumcellus. This is called as the pyxis in case of plantain. Now moving towards the next category of dry fruit, that is the indehiscent fruit. As the name indicates, dry fruit which do not open when mature or shed their seed, and many of these groups are one-seeded. The next category of the dry fruit is the indehiscent fruit. In the dry fruit that do not open when mature to shed their seeds, like many of the groups of this particular group are the fruits are the one-seeded, and they have a many different types of indehiscent fruit like akin, nut, samara, grain, sisocop. All these are the different categories and types of the indehiscent fruit that generally have a one-seeded structure. The first one, that is the akin. Akin is a one-seeded dry indehiscent fruit. The one seed is attached to the fruit wall at single point, like in case of buttercup, dandelion or sunflower, and one seed which is free of the pericarp, that is of the fruit wall. As you can see in case of hepatica, you can see here they also have a akin. You can see here these are the fruit which is called as akin, which is one-seeded fruit. As in case of sunflower, you can see these are the ovary wall. This is the sunflower seed, you can see here, and this one is the ovary wall. So this type of fruit is called as akin. That also one of the type in the present in the Asteraceae family as well as in the Cyperaceae family. Then another example of the akin is the dandelion. As you can see, fruit that have a seed, as you can see here, and this one is the parachute of pulmose. Here you can see that help in the dehiscence of this particular seeds dispersal. Then anemone, which also have a this akin type of seeds, as you can see here. This is another picture showing the akin type of fruit. Then the next category is the indehiscent fruit is nut. A dry indehiscent one-seeded fruit similar to akin but with the wall greatly thickened and hardened. As previously I have seen that the ovary wall or the seed coat is not hardy, but in the case of nut the fruit wall is called hardy or thickened, like in case of beech, cashew nut, oak, hazel, walnut, hickory. Because of their external bract or husk, these fruits are also sometimes called as drupes. So you can see in case of Quercus macropa or in case of bark oak, you can see this is the nut and that is have a hard coating. You can see this is a single seed that present in this particular nut, and this cup like structure is from the involucre or from the bract. Then another in case of acorn nut, this involucre is forming a coating structure. This is the coat of the nut, as in case of acorn nut. Here is the seed of the acorn. Then the next one is the cashew nut. As you can see, they have a covering, hard covering that is formed by the involucre, and inside it you can see there is the presence of a nut. So cashew nut is also have a hard covering which is made up of involucre bract. Then the next category of indehiscent fruit is samara. Samara is also one or two-seeded dry indehiscent fruit in which part of the fruit wall grown out like a wing structure, as you can see in case of elm, maple or ash. That is, this type of fruit is also called as an akin with a wing for dispersal. As you can see here in these images, this is the single fruit which is indehiscent type, which has a outgrowth that is help in the dispersal of the fruit. Like in case of maple samara, you can see these are the wings, and inside it you can see seeds are present that help in the dispersal of this type of fruit. Then ash samara, which also has a wing, you can see here these are the small seeds that has, this one is the fruit wall. Then the next type of fruit is the grain or caryopsis. This is one seed which has the seed coat fused to pericarp. So this is the another type of indehiscent fruit in which seed coat of the seed is fused with the pericarp of the ovary. So the whole structure will become same, and this type of fruit is called as caryopsis, and this is the one of the characteristic feature of the family poaceae, which has a fruit that is called as caryopsis. As you can see here, this is the wheat grain in which seed coat is fused with the pericarp, and this one is the corn in which united fruit and seed coat you can see here. Then the last type of the fruit in which intelligent category is the schizocarp, that is formed from the compound pistil that is split into mericarp, that is into two pieces. The whole structure is called as zygote. The next type of fruit is the schizocarp, that is formed by the compound pistil and is split into two similar that is called as mericarp. So this is the whole fruit that is called as schizocarp and is split into two similar resembled structure that is called as mericarp. And this type of fruit is present in the like in coriander, that is a family Apiaceae that has the schizocarp type of fruit. Now moving towards the next floral part, that is the seed. Seed is a container of new plant life. As I have told you earlier, seed is act as a new plant life because after the germination of seed, it can grow into the whole plant. So seeds are formed inside the ovaries of the flower and they are developed from the ovules. After the pollination, the eggs and the pollen zygote, there is a formation of zygote. After the pollination, there is a formation of a zygote by the fusion of eggs and the pollen grains, and by this fusion, there is a formation of the seed. That zygote is converted into the embryo, then it is converted into the at maturity into the seeds. So seed, that is structure that is protect the embryo and provide food for it to grow. So seed have many important uses to humans, such as for the food production, because all the staple food which are consuming, that is the either wheat or rice, these are the seeds. With plants like such as the soybean, corn, growers want large seeds, yield of seeds, because seeds is the next generation of life and these seeds are also act as a food for us. Beside these seeds of new life for the plants, many plants have a beneficial seeds that we can consume, and many plants that have a fruit that we want without seed, like in case of grapes. So depending upon the farmers grow the seed plants or the seedless plants depending upon the need of their growth. So if we see the structure of the seed, that is the internal structure, the seed has the two main part, the external part that designed to the nourish and protect the internal part of the seed, and the internal part include an embryo that needed for the food support. If we see the various type of seeds, generally plant have a two type of seeds. In dicot, they have a two cotyledonous seed like in bean seed, and in monocot they have a one cotyledonous seed, that is the example of this is corn seed. As you can see, this is the image of a two cotyledon seed in case of bean. This one is the seed coat. Inside it you will find this is the two cotyledons, and from these cotyledons there is a germination of this particular cotyledon. So if we see the external part of the bean seed, they have a seed coat. The seed coat, it is the outer covering of the seed that protect the embryo from the injury and holds the seeds, and the hilum is the point at which seed is attached to the fruit. This is also called as the seed scar. Then if you see the If we see the internal part of the seed, it has the cotyledon, that is the two cotyledon present in case of dicot leaf as we have seen in the bean seed. Then they have a radicle is the part that seed that form the plant root system. Then hypocotyl connects the cotyledon and radicles, and epicotyl form the stem part of the plant, and the plumule forms the upper ground part of the plant. So internal structure of the seed have a many important characteristics that protected by the external layer, that is the seed coat, and hilum which is connecting the fruit and the seed. So these are the internal structure of a bean seed. Similarly, monocot seed is also have a cotyledon, but they only have a single cotyledon. As you can see in this particular image, they have only one single cotyledon, and they also have a seed coat, and this one is the endosperm which provide the nourishment to the developing plants. So monocot seed, like example is the corn seed, also have a seed coat. This seed coat protects and shapes the seed, and they have also seed scar, that is the seed scar, the place where seed were attached to the kernel or corn cob, and this seed silk scar or is in position where seed scar in place where the silk was attached to the ovule, as we have seen earlier. And the corn seed also have an internal structure, that is the endosperm, this is the food store in the monocot seed. Then they also have a radicle, as with dicot they form the root system, but this radicle that form the root system is generally it is become diminished after some time. Then hypocotyl, as with dicot, the hypocotyl connects the radicle with the food source. Then epicotyl is the layer which form the stem of the monocot in the same manner as in case of dicot. And the cotyledon, as we have seen, the cotyledon in the monocot absorb food from the endosperm and moves to the embryo. In the monocot they have only one cotyledon, and this one is that's why the monocot is called as monocotyledony, because they have only single cotyledon. So dicot that have a two cotyledon and monocot which have a single cotyledon. And the monocot seed also have a plumule. The plumule develop into the leaves and stem part of the plant. So that's all for today, as we have learned about the one of the main important reproductive organs of the plant, that is the fruits, and inside the fruit there is a formation of the seeds which act as a new life for the plant. So that's all for today. Thank you all for joining this session. That's all.